if somebody's more comfortable talking, I just saw the nose over there. If somebody's more comfortable talking, feel free to step up. But we're going to take some time to discuss your ideas. So don't just jump to the next group. We want to actually talk about how these things can be realistic. So whoever wants to go first, go ahead.
We said for approachable, you can smile and be human and talk to them. You know what I mean? Like, how are you? How are things going? And yeah, so that will make people want to approach you, like while you're serving or being a banquet manager or bartending. And then the second one was if we want to be respectable, we have to be professional. And so while we're serving, like, don't go messing around, go talking to the bartenders or, you know, like, talking to another server while you're clearly supposed to be clearing and stuff like that. So just being professional and efficient.
Good examples. So the approachable one, we actually just took a customer service training and kind of did a little bit more digging into how can we be doing things better here. And one thing that I really like that they brought up, has anybody ever heard of the 10-15 rule? Okay, if you're within 10 feet of someone, you're going to acknowledge them and greet them. You're going to give them some kind of a hello, how are you doing today, how can I help you? If you're within 15 feet of them, you're at least smiling and saying hi or acknowledging that they're present. It's just kind of getting within that personal bubble. You shouldn't be just like averting your eyes and walking past or not wanting to make conversation. If they're within that bubble of you, you can go up to them and say something. We've noticed on our end that if you're willing to ask the question, willing to put yourself out there as far as how are we doing, what can we do better, what can we do for you, they're more willing to tell you maybe something that's going wrong versus finding out after the fact that they weren't super pleased with something. They might say, well, you know, the men's restroom toilet paper is empty. Would you be willing to go fill that up? Versus at the end of the night, it's nobody ever checked on the bathrooms. You know, those things can escalate because we didn't ask those questions. So being approachable, really good example. As far as the second one, do you mind repeating that one?
Being professional.
Being professional. And I think that comes down to exactly like you said it. They see how we act with each other as their priority in our respect for our work. So if we're too busy talking with each other to put their needs first, they're now the second priority for us. If we're making sure that they're great, golden, everything's good to go, and then we're taking our conversations in the back, out of the sight of people, making sure that they're appropriate in the time that we're doing it, we're not going to appear that we're too good to take care of them, and they now have a better experience. So thank you for sharing. Mm-hmm. Any other comments to that before we move on? Okay, let's go to the next group. Who wants to volunteer?
We'll go.
Yeah.
So for like setup, we did making sure that like the linens you actually put on are like clean, because I've noticed that a lot of time they still have like spots on them.
Mm-hmm.
And then she said like sometimes the colors don't match up, so paying attention to that detail that someone said earlier and trying to like make it so the colors are like closest to each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the other one, we said like do something before you're asked. So like if you notice the toilet paper's empty, go change it, or like, you know, if you see something that's wrong or that needs to be fixed, do it before the customers ask you to do it.
Absolutely. I think most of my managers have probably heard me say, put the mind of a cranky mother-in-law on, or a bride who's really hard to please, okay? Think like the person who's really impossible to make happy, and then if you do those things that they might notice, you're going to be working ahead before anybody even notices something needs to be done. I've had many comment cards because of you guys come through that said they were doing things before we even asked. Like, that is a huge compliment to our team, and that's something that we should strive for. So really good example there. Who wants to go next? Go ahead.
Okay, so we said ask them specifically, is there anything I can do, or is there anything I can help you with, or how can I help you? And then also smile. Even if someone comes off as rude, it's important to remain calm, cool, and collected.
Absolutely.
So that you come off as like more friendly and helpful.
That's great. Depending on what's going on in their life, you may not be the problem. You may just be the person who's intercepting their problem, and so how we handle it really matters. So good examples.
A big word was communication.
Mm-hmm.
And so that can be like with the clients, whether it's like you're a server and you're cleaning tables and just not just asking like, hey, can I take that from you, but like showing that you have like a friendly smile and are willing to interact with them more so they have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And then with your banquet manager to make sure that things are getting done and that you can go what needs to be done instead of just waiting around or actually go and find something to do. And then with your coworkers too, so that you can, just get more stuff done and help each other out.
I think one of the best examples of that communicating with your manager and with your team is as we get busier and our late nights get longer, we've been used to these really awesome early corporate nights, which is fun, but as the summertime comes around and we're here longer, if we come to the back and we stand there and wait for somebody to give us a direction, our night is no longer. Every few minutes that we stand there and have that conversation. We had a really good example the other night of I would come in the back, I was managing that night, and I can't tell you once where I had to say, hey guys, can we work on this? Somebody was working on something before I even had to ask them. Now, had there been a point where we were standing there, somebody did a good job of saying, hey, what should I be working on or what can I be doing next? But by doing that, you're helping your team be more efficient and the experience for the guests be better. Sometimes our experience can reflect on their experience. So if we know we have a lot of flip to do, we have nothing done in the kitchen, it's already 11:30, are we going to take that attitude out onto the floor now? Because we know we have a long night ahead of us. And are we going to be the most positive we can? So if we're working ahead and we're feeling really good about where we're at, now all of a sudden our spirits are different and we're different for the people that we're interacting with. So just kind of being mindful of how that affects the whole big picture. Go ahead.
We said just like being friendly when you interact with the client, especially like the mother of the bride and the bride. Like I know not everybody interacts with them, but I've noticed that if you like give them a compliment and like even like make it sincere and like something that you, even if it's just like, oh, I really love this centerpiece. A lot of times they're like really touched and they know we see a lot of weddings, so I think that when we say that to them, then they're like, it's just like very reassuring and like, they feel good about themselves and about their night. So we said kind of just, like being friendly and like professional in that way too.
Absolutely. One of the statistics that have kind of resonated with me as far as customer service is 90% of clients will say that they are willing to give a better report even if a bad situation happened if they feel like they had a personal connection with the people they worked with. So 9 people out of 10 people, if they feel like they had a relationship with you, they could trust you, you were their friend, you were looking out for them and really talk to them about how things are going. Even if something bad happens, they're willing to forgive you for it because they trust that you were doing your best. That one person who feels like you really didn't connect, you were just there to work for them, they're probably not going to forget about those bad things because they don't feel like you really cared about them. So trying to reach out, have a conversation, it goes a long ways. Good example.
We said, like, don't be shy, just ask if anything needs to be done, smile, and then having a good attitude throughout the whole night, so, like, just being positive throughout the night.
And how many of us like working with people who have a good attitude all night? Like, there are certain people that walk in the room that just light it up, and congrats to you guys, because when you bring everybody up, like, that is a big accomplishment. So even if it's not specifically affecting, like, the people you're working with that are clients, you're affecting your team in a positive way. So keep doing that. It really makes a difference. Anyone left out there? Go ahead.
We said as a banquet manager, like, before anything really starts, you, like, meet with your client and just, like, run through the night. Like, just make sure all the details are in place, because sometimes things can change from, like, when the meeting was to, like, the day of. They might want something differently. Also, just, like, that we all had, like, 3 different words, so maybe that we just, like, take those with us and then really try to, like, use those and like make those our goal for the night to like specifically do something that's like one of your words.
That's good. Yeah, being intentional, like thinking about what we're saying now and not just leaving it here in this room, but actually carrying it forward with you while you're working. I like it.
Along with that, I know that before like different teams have done it where they, and I don't know, we probably shouldn't like write it on our arm, but they've like all picked one word and wrote it on their arm during that game so that they would like remember to be intentional. So I don't know if we would like want to do something like that where like before the night like everybody picks one word that they want to work on or something and you write it by your name in the white. I don't know, that's just an idea, but I know like sports teams have done that before.
For managers, that's a fun idea. You guys do team meetings beforehand, why not do something fun like that? Think about how we can be better for the night. Anyone else left to share?
Our group did thorough, and most of the points were already covered, but we had constantly checking and working ahead and asking what you can do to help if you're done with your own work. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of going along with that thorough and like checking in on things. For example, being really mindful of your schedule. Whoever was here Monday night, something that I said to all of us was at 7 o'clock we're getting kicked out of the room because the magician wanted the room with no servers in it. So we spent the last 5 minutes before that filling all the water pitchers, so that way nobody was left with an empty water pitcher. We're not just being thorough of getting all the plates out, but we're also thinking ahead to, if we can't service them for the next 15, 20, 30 minutes, what can we do in advance so that way we're being thorough with their service in that time when we're not present too. So, good example. Anybody left? Okay, thank you for sharing. I know that this seems kind of redundant or things that we should maybe already be doing or things that you've already thought like, hey, we're doing really well. But when you go from kind of not working very often to all of a sudden being thrown in the mix, we want to make sure that we come out with our best effort. We come out doing absolutely the best we can. And so today we're just revisiting these ideas, stirring the pot and starting to create some thoughts as to how can we be better and come out fresh. Just a brief little talk about how does our interaction matter. For our side of things in the office, we want to fill our calendar. We want to give you guys as many events to work as possible because that's why we're here. That's why we do what we do. For the sales side of things, I would say 65 to 75% of people who come in and purchase their reception, their event here, they do it because they heard somebody else say that it was a good experience. And so you guys are that good experience. You're that 65 to 75% of those sales. And so how do we break down what we're doing to create the next customer, the person who wants to come back and wants to have that experience the next time? Again, kind of borrowing from our customer service training we did, they gave us an anagram. It says sales. So how are we going to sell the facility? How are we going to sell ourselves? S stands for smile. It's easy to get busy, to get tired, and forget about your facial expression, but the first thing you can do to make someone feel welcome is just to turn on a smile. It's very easy to control. It's something that even if you're not having a great night, I know you can fake a smile. Like, it's not that hard to do, just to make people feel comfortable and feel welcome. S in the sales is the appropriate grading, and so we had brought up that 10-15 rule, making sure that we're grading people. We're not avoiding that conversation. We're making sure that they're feeling comfortable working with us. L stands for listen. It's hard in a night where you're busy to be a listener, but you have to really absorb and not just assume what you want to hear or what you think you might be hearing. Listen to them. Ask them questions. Let them tell you their whole life story. If they have a problem and it takes 10 minutes of your time, you've listened to them at least. You're not going to brush them off and move on to the next thing. E stands for eye contact. It might be somewhat uncomfortable for some people. I don't know where you're at as far as, just working with independent individuals, but making eye contact, it really shows that you're here for them. You're really looking into their problem. You're taking care of them. It's just a way that you can connect as well. And then the S in sales, say thank you. They don't have to bring their event here. They don't have to have your service. Say thank you for bringing themselves here to us and to let us take care of them, because it is really a privilege for us to take care of other individuals. So kind of keep those thoughts, sales, in mind, and hopefully it can maybe one of those letters can maybe be something you can work on improving in yourself. Not everybody's perfect. I can't say all of those I'm great at, so find one that you can work on while you get better. Now, all these great things are going to happen. We're going to do really well all summer long, but there's always going to be a problem. No matter how hard we work, no matter what we do, at some point something will happen. And so how do we handle complaints? How do we deal with when it doesn't go right? And so let's just talk with your neighbor, maybe with somebody else. If you had a problem, what are 2 things that you would want somebody to do for you to handle that problem? Okay? So maybe pick somebody you weren't just talking to.